Thank you for watching. My name is Austin O'Shiel, and this is for my project on English 111. This is an extra credit assignment, and what I'll be talking about today is I'll be talking about a book by an author called Joe Denver, very, very famous fantasy author, known worldwide for his amazing contributions to the fantasy, genre in general. He is the go-to guy on any sort of fantasy anything, video games, movies, whenever they are about to make something that they think is going to be groundbreaking, they always consult him because he's the best. So his name is Joe Denver, and what I'll be talking about is his first book in a series called the Lone Wolf series. It's called Flight from the Dark. And so what Flight from the Dark is about is it's about this boy named Lone Wolf. And so what Lone Wolf is he is the last of the Kai. This takes place directly after the Kai uh, are taken over, destroyed by the Darkness, which is the main enemy in the game. Bad dudes, not great. Uh, let's see what we got. There we go. All right, so it takes place right after that event. And so his job is he is going to the king, which is on the right side of the map in front of you. I don't know if you can tell exactly where am I pointing. I think I fixed that. But if you can tell where I'm pointing, it's right over here to the right, and you start over here to the left at the Kai Monastery. And so what your goal is, you're supposed to get to the king and let him know what happened to the Kai, and also warn him of the impending darkness that is coming. And so that begins your adventure. This is a very, very Dungeons and Dragons-esque type of game. It is very, very much inspired by it. It even says in his it even says at the beginning of the game that it is inspired by it. But unlike Dungeons and Dragons, this is single player. This is made exactly for one person to do. This was originally a book, but is later adapted into a web book, which really, honestly, for me helped because for every choice, you could click a link and it'd take you to that page rather than having to flip back and forth in a book. But that's one other thing about this game is it's a very choice-based game. So what I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you the main part of the game, which is the action chart. And so what the action chart is it combines the two main parts of the game, choice and chance. Choice in the fact that you get to choose a lot of things. You get to choose the paths you choose. It's great. So right here you have your Kai disciplines. These are your abilities that help you throughout the game. These abilities can help you to evade your enemy, figure out where they're coming from, or even help you in battle. And so I have some of them right here. Tracking will help you figure out where you need to go, of course, tracking. Weapon skill +5. What that does is when I'm using a sword in the game, when Lone Wolf is using a sword, I get 5+ damage because it's the weapon that he's better trained with. I can pick that from many different others through this. This is the random number pad. So what you're ideally supposed to do is you're supposed to take a pencil, point the eraser at the paper, close your eyes, poke, I got an 8. And what you do is that number determines, based on the rules, so it always shows it on the web page what each number means, but based on those rules, that number determines what you get. So typically, the higher the number, the better, except for the case of 0. 0 is probably the best you can ever, I guess you could call it, roll. This isn't the only option. There's always the option of two 5-sided dice. That's honestly the best, but I couldn't find any, and I don't have any money. Um, and so that's one of the many things that you can do about this game. Everything is choice based and everything is chance based. Do not cheat at this game because it is very hard to and very easy to. It's weird. So, another place where chance comes in is your combat skill and endurance points. And so right here we have my combat skill. And so my combat skill, I rolled an 8, and so I'm supposed to add 10 to it. What the +5 is because when I was doing this playthrough, I had a sword, so I had, like my Kai discipline said, I had a +5 damage. The endurance points is basically your HP, your health, your vitality. all these things rolled into one. I had a 28, and so what it is basically is if you hit 0, you are done for. 28 is your highest possible unless you get certain things like different types of armor can help you raise your endurance points. And then when you lose it, the only way to get it back is either by using an exterior item like the healing potion. I had one, but I didn't use it. I'm saving it for the next book. Or an ability like healing. One of the Kai disciplines are healing, in which every numbered page without an enemy on it, you get +1 HP. So basically, the better you avoid enemies, the more you heal, which really, really helps you because you do not want to be caught by someone that's very, very powerful when you have no health. Not a good day. And so, another very, very interesting and very RPG-ish, because this is an RPG, role-playing game, is the way you do combat. And so the way you do combat is, again, chance and choice. You can avoid combat in most situations depending on your choices. But where choice and chance come up is right here. This part right here is not used yet. I assume it's for a later book, which is one thing I absolutely love is that there's expandability to this. I have no idea what this means. I couldn't tell you because the book doesn't explain. It's great. So right here we have my battle chart. This right here, the combat record, shows all the battles I've had so far. I've had to erase a little bit at the bottom because I ran out of space. Not too many people. So what you do is you would put your stats on the left side, your enemy stats on the right side, and you would subtract the enemy's combat skill from yours. So you obviously want to be higher because you don't want to be weaker than your enemy. And so you would get a combat ratio. This first fight, I had a 13 combat ratio. And so what that meant is that was 13 points of damage. Overwhelming advantage. And so after that, you would take once again, the random number chart. You would pick a number randomly, close your eyes, and then using this handy dandy combat results table, you would go down to the random number that you picked and then go over to the ratio. So in that one, I had a combat ratio of 13. So I would go all the way over here to 11 or greater and 6, because let's say I picked a 6. The enemy would take 16 damage, and I would only take 1. Now, like I said, 0 is the best. 0 with an overwhelming power, you kill them instantly, you don't take any damage. I love it. It was such a great feeling. I got it once in the whole book. It was amazing. And I plan on continuing the book. And so, one of the greatest things I must say about this is how it's made to last. This character, this lone wolf, this particular lone wolf that I probably couldn't replicate again even if I did the same choices because of the chance aspect. This lone wolf can continue through as many books as I can do. As many books as I take this character through, he will go. Unless he dies. And then the whole thing starts over again. New lone wolf, same situation. Different abilities. And so that's one of the things that I believe there are either 12 or 13 books. You can carry this particular lone wolf. This dude, I love this build. I absolutely love it. And I think I got a very good roll on my combat skill and endurance points. And I can take this dude all the way to the 13th book if I play it right. However, playing it right is a big result of it. Because you can take your character and his items from one book to another, that also means what you do in one book affects what happens in the other. For example, you are in the second book. Let's say the second book takes place in a desert. There's a winter coat there. Why would you pick up a winter coat? That doesn't make sense. Pick it up. Because in the third book, you might be in the northern parts where it's cold. And because you didn't pick up that coat then, you will freeze in the third book. And so your choices from the second book can determine whether you even get to the end of the next book. So it is less along lines of separated stories and more along lines of one big picture where you take your character and his items from one side to the other. And so that's just one of the amazing parts of this game is that it's just so replayable, adaptable. One book will take you to the other. and it's all online, and it's all using links. They have a book, you can flip through the page, you can do that, but the online version, which is approved, by the way, which is even better, he supports it. The online portion has links, so you would have, a set question. You can, do you want to go left? Turn to page 100. Do you want to go right? Turn to page 200. Rather than flopping back and forth, there are links. When you say 100, 200, written in bold blue, you click on it, it takes you to that page. It makes it simpler. I was able to get through the book much simpler and without near as much confusion because of that. And it made it very easy for someone like me who is completely new to something like this to be able to actually be able to participate and have a lot of fun at it while I'm at it. I would heavily, heavily suggest this for anyone. If you like fantasies, you like time killers, even if you don't like fantasies, it's just straight up cool. Great thing to do a paper on, even better, extra credit assignment. Um, so this, I would recommend it. I would absolutely love it, and I'm going to continue this personally because I love it. This isn't just an extra credit assignment. This is a new hobby. And so, finally, one of my favorite things about this, which you've seen three of them, are the tools that you get. You get the action chart, you get the combat results table, and then you get the number chart. But my favorite part about this is the thing that it doesn't mention much of, but can affect you so incredibly. It can affect you so incredibly that if you ignore it, you will wander in woods for like a week being killed by bears. And that is this, a map. Not just any map, the map of Magnamund. Now, this is a surprisingly detailed map in that your choices throughout the game correspond with the map. So whoever drew the map, I don't remember the person's name. They had some background in it. Um, but whoever did this very, very accurately. So you start over to the left. I don't know if you can see my pointer in the Kai Monastery, and your goal is to get down here to, I believe it's Ragnadorn. It's either here or Homeguard. I get confused at some point. It happens a lot in this game if you're not paying attention. And so, if you're not careful, you can go left out of the Kai Monastery or straight, run into the ocean or run into the mountains, and then get eaten by bears or fish, whichever. And so, that's one of the greatest part about this game is that it gives you this map, and you kind of underestimate it. It tells you, hey, go east or go north. You're like, go north. It's cold up there. It's nice this time of year. No. And then you realize when you reach the coast, hey, I went the wrong way. I have to turn completely around. And so you have to be mindful every time you make a direction change. You got to look at this map, find out where you are, find out where you need to go, and find out if that's where you need to go. And so it's just absolutely perfect in how it does that. And that is the synopsis of this video. The only thing I can add is that this had a specific target audience of young adults, teens, and kids. And I'd just like to add how absolutely perfect they hit it. They absolutely hit that target audience, and that they didn't waste any quality. It was still a perfect book, but they didn't freak parents out. The Joe Denver didn't freak parents out with gory details or incredibly bloody, profane speech or anything like that. They didn't have that, but it still was cool. It wasn't nerfed down, taken down. It was absolutely perfect. As a 19-year-old reading this, I could have read this as a 12-year-old and appreciated it just as much. And that is a very, very rare thing because at 12 years old, I tried to read Lord of the Rings and it didn't work because I didn't get it. Too much descriptions. I still think it's too much descriptions. Love it though. But honestly, the choice-based aspects of this game, the choice and chance formula they have going on here is just perfect. And I've never seen anything like it. I've only played a couple games of Dungeons and Dragons. Most of them, I assure you, is probably not by standard rules. just kind of goofing around. But this was good, and this was simple. Even though it looks complicated, I mean, I'm holding 3 sheets of paper in my hand, and there's a map on the screen. But it's simple, easy to learn. Even someone like me can figure it out. And so that is the conclusion of my video. Thank you for watching. Um, I wouldn't say like or subscribe because this is kind of my personal YouTube page. But hey, feel free to. And then have a good day.